Hey everybody, it's Felicia Stitzel with Vintage Fun Marketing, and welcome to today's Wine Wednesday. So I'm bringing you today's Wine Wednesday from the great north of Alaska. But the reason why I'm tying in my location is very imperative to what we're going to be talking about, which is how do wineries know whether or not they're capturing tourists when they're traveling to the area? Now, wineries and being able to visit wineries has become more of a destination location for a lot of tourists. People go to Napa Valley, obviously they're going to be going to visit wineries. People go to Walla Walla, places that are more renowned for having lots of wineries. You know that your winery is at least likely to be able to be seen and to be visited by all of these waves of tourists that come in. But how do you know? Well, that's a good question. And most people don't know. They don't know whether or not they're capturing the most amount of tourists that they can get per the season. Now, if you live in a little place that has a tiny winery like the one I visited here in Alaska, or some of the ones that are in Idaho that are a little more spread out from large hubs like Boise, you don't know that they're there. You have to look for the signs, you have to get off the interstate when you're traveling, and they're not really major locations that have a lot of advertisements going for them. So nobody knows that they're there, and that's the problem. And that is something that we can fix. So going through your Facebook advertising, when you're building an ad, you can actually build an ad that targets people who are traveling to your location. And you can set a certain mile radius, like 10, 50, 25. I mean, there's a sliding scale between 10 miles and 50 miles that Facebook lets you do. And you can say that when a tourist who is traveling to Idaho or Washington or New York, California, I mean, the list of states, of course, is endless. When somebody says that they are traveling to a location, when they get into a certain mile radius of your winery, your Facebook ad can start popping up in their newsfeed once they reach inside that radius. Did you know that? It's pretty cool, huh? So, and this is something that in the advertising business, we kind of refer to as the low-hanging fruit, because capturing the audience of a tourist who is traveling to you is actually a lot easier than you think it is, if you use the right tools. Now, if you don't, obviously, you're having to use billboard ads, you're having to put your stands up in hotels, which none of that is wrong, but do you know how effective it is? And a lot of times people don't. There is no way to see what the ROI is, which is return on investments. You have no idea what to see the ROI is for a billboard ad. It happens, but it's not as often as saying, hey, I saw your advertisement on Facebook. You had this ad going, or you had this promotion going. I took a screenshot of it, and now you know exactly where that customer came from because they told you. They have a screenshot of your promotion showing you that they saw your ad and now they are coming to cash in on it, which is an automatic return of investment. So why not grab the low-hanging fruit? This is something that I was able to experience firsthand over the last 2 weeks. You know, right now I'm in Alaska, and I visited 3 wineries coming from Twin Falls up to Boise, where we flew out, and then I visited another winery here in Alaska, and the entire time I was scrolling through, not a single one of them was targeting me saying that I was there, showing up on my news feed. I was intently going to these wineries, so I knew where I was going, but as soon as we reached into the Boise area, I should have been getting notifications or having ads pop up in my news feed as I was scrolling through as the passenger, which all of us do, and being able to see your advertisements show up in my news feed once I hit the Boise region. But it didn't happen. And that is where there are so many opportunities for wineries to capture that kind of audience, because they're not doing that right now. And hundreds of thousands of people travel around the country per year to visit wineries specifically. On the other hand, how do you know that your winery is going to be the most relevant winery to visit? So in places like Walla Walla, in Napa Valley, in Paso Roble, there is a lot of wineries. Those are heavily inundated areas for the industry. Do you know whether or not your winery is going to be on the top 10 list of wineries that people want to visit? Do you know that for sure? We don't. people don't know that because they're not the ones traveling to, searching for the relevance of. I mean, there are all these contributing factors to that. So how do you make your winery become a must-stop location? You do a Facebook ad, because Facebook then uses that algorithm to say, oh, these guys are paying to play, which means that they want to be seen. So now when people search for wineries in Paso Robles, they're going to search for that, and then your winery is going to show up towards the top because you're paying to play. Also, you're going to know that people are going to come to your winery because they've seen you on Facebook, because you've targeted travelers who are going to California, to Paso Robles, and now your customers walking into your winery have now doubled. They've tripled. In some cases, in certain areas, they could even quadruple over a single season. So this is something that's really near and dear to my heart, because as a traveler myself, I go to these places, I go and travel around the world, and I want to see who's going to show up and put forth the effort to capture me as a traveler or as a tourist when I go to certain areas. And I've traveled across the world and back multiple times, and there have only been a handful of times when somebody has targeted me because I was in their area for things to do. So there's eons of opportunity. It's just about grabbing it. Thanks for joining me on today's Wine Wednesday, the tips and tricks of the trade. Tune in next week where I'll be back in Idaho and I've got more tips to share with you. Tune in next week.